Today, we are going to get into a really fascinating strategic challenge, one that pretty much every successful leader or organization will face at some point. It's called the Victory Dividend. It seems like a simple question, right? But the answer, well, it's way more complicated than you'd think. We spend so much energy, so much time focusing on how to get that big win, but we almost never talk about the incredibly tough, high-stakes decisions that come the moment after you've actually succeeded. We call this a good problem to have. And sure, it is. But here's the paradox. Achieving that massive success you've been fighting for, it creates a whole new set of challenges, and figuring out how to navigate them is absolutely crucial. And that brings us to the core idea here, the victory dividend. This isn't just about having extra cash in the bank. It's about suddenly finding yourself at a strategic crossroads. You've got all this new momentum, new resources, new attention. So which way do you point it all? Here's the most important thing to get your head around. Landing that huge client or closing that massive funding round, that's not the finish line. Nope, it's actually the starting gun for the next race. And this one is even more critical. To really see what this looks like in the real world, let's dig into a case study. Let's talk about a company called TidyFlow Solutions. They're a young, scrappy company that just hit the big time, and now they find themselves standing at this very same, very complex new starting line. So TidyFlow has that classic startup story. The founders, Maya and Jake, they spotted a real problem for folks like plumbers and electricians and decided to build a fix. They ran lean, they hustled, they listened to their first customers, and all that hard work paid off in a huge way with a major Series A investment. And, it wasn't just about the funding. They hit a true triple victory. The cash infusion, landing a game-changing new client, and getting a glowing write-up in a top tech journal. I mean, the mood at TidyFlow was just electric. But right on the heels of that celebration came a really big debate. This is exactly where the idea of the victory dividend gets real. The leadership team is staring down a massive decision with 4 totally different paths they could take. So I want you to put yourself in their shoes for a second. You're in that boardroom. The energy is buzzing, but so is the tension. Everybody's got a strong opinion on what to do next. What's your move? What do you argue for? So there are 4 competing ideas on the table. 1, you celebrate. You throw a big event to reward the team and boost morale. 2, you incentivize. Give out direct cash bonuses to recognize all that hard work. 3, you reinvest. Use the money to upgrade your internal tech for the long haul. Or 4, you expand. You pour every last dollar into an aggressive push to grab more market share. And when you lay it all out like this, the trade-offs are crystal clear. Celebrating gives you this huge, immediate morale boost with almost no risk. Bonuses are amazing for keeping your best people. But the other 2 options, they're about the future. Reinvesting in your systems is a medium-risk play for long-term strength. And then there's expansion, a high-risk, high-reward gamble to completely dominate the market. You see, there's just no single, easy, right answer here. And you know what? This problem isn't unique to a tech startup like TidyFlow. This exact kind of high-stakes choice is really at the heart of leadership, no matter the industry. Let's look at a few other quick examples. Take a company like Green Chain Solutions, a logistics giant. When the founder retired, the board had 4 internal candidates, but each one had a radically different vision for the future. It was this battle between aggressive growth on one side and the company's core mission of sustainability on the other. That choice wasn't just about a new CEO. It was about the soul of the company for the next 10 years. Or how about Vintage Vibe Boutique? They were fighting off a hostile takeover, while at the same time, cheap knockoffs were flooding the market. Their dilemma was a fight for the brand's very identity. Do you protect what makes you special, your authenticity, or do you chase survival at any cost? Selling out might save the business, but it could destroy everything that made it great in the first place. And then there's Synergy Spark Innovations. They found out a key executive had committed a serious ethical breach, right at a time when the company was financially vulnerable. They had to choose. Do we go for a quiet, cheap cover-up or a transparent, very expensive but principled response? Each one of these is its own version of that victory dividend dilemma.
So, what do we take away from all this? When you're facing your own good problem to have, what's the actual strategic lesson here?
And that really brings us to the key insight. Leadership in these moments isn't about some heroic quest to find the one single right answer. The real art, the real skill, is in balancing the tension between competing priorities that are often equally valid. You're basically performing a strategic balancing act all the time. You've got to weigh your team's morale today against the company's long-term growth tomorrow. You're thinking about operational efficiency, what the market is doing, what your investors want, what your customers expect. It's this incredibly complex, multivariable equation. This quote from the source material we're looking at just nails it. That's the fundamental tension right there. The really powerful magnetic pull of immediate rewards versus the disciplined, patient pursuit of a long-term vision.
So we'll leave you with this. Success doesn't give you the answers. What it does is ask a much more interesting, much higher stakes question. So when that moment comes for you, what's your answer going to be?